Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing this June the 21st, 2025. Cryptocurrency early afternoon update here. We'll do an altcoin update a little bit later on today, but bell notification, comment down below, subscribe and share to get that truth, trust, education, and information you need to become an asset millionaire. That is our goal for the retail investor and you, and that's what we're here for, and to study strategic investments across a variety of spheres to have a well-balanced diet of investments and assets to become asset millionaires via gold and silver bullion, stocks, cryptocurrency, mining stocks, and real estate, and study 401k investing, and of course some cash, earning interest several percent for dry powder to invest in new assets or to accumulate and stack more of the assets that you already own. And become members of Jabroni Killers. It's as cheap as $3.99 a month to start to support the channel. And you can see we have a members only post where we have our short-term forecast, short-term price targets, old Vincenzo XRP, on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, and on XLM in the short term. And then we have reasonings with graphs and pictures on why we think the short-term price is going to where we think. That's a members only thing. We're going to start doing Sundays are going to be by Sunday evening. Each Sunday there will be for XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XLM, and then I'll have a group of 5 altcoins that will put weekly price targets and what we expect for the weekly trades, as well as each month we'll have our monthly outlooks like we just put out for the Bitcoin and the XRP, right, and the Ethereum. And we're going to start getting more into that for members only to give them some insight and some breakdown that they can read on some of my thoughts that I'm having on the market, right? Sometimes it's easier to see it on paper. And you can see right now this weekend, we've been trading down. We had a little bit of a pump and we're sitting just at the 50-day moving average in the daily time frame in the Bitcoin price. And that's what we're watching this weekend is the same thing that we were talking about all week is we're down here right now. Are we going to pump up and come back up like these pumps to get rejected again? Or is this the time we're going to come down and retest the 100-day moving average? And then this underneath 97,000 and change, because you do know, I believe we're coming back down to this underneath 74,000 and change, major underneath support in the short to medium term. I think this is going to turn around on itself. I think this is a mountain double top in the overall macro pattern that we became with top one, and then just like 3 years ago, top two. And I think we're going to have some lows and some accumulations and some zones. And I've been touting this for several weeks, even with silver bullion on a brief pullback. I think we're going to have a brief, this could all blow up in my face, but I think we're going to have a brief opportunity here to reaccumulate into our bags that we already have, or people that haven't bought crypto to get a big shot to accumulate, as I think Bitcoin will come here. And I think there's a very high chance that we come down here too before a massive bull run starts. And our technical target is still technically down here, but that one's a longer shot, less confident about that, but still our official long-term target before this next leg of the bull run starts, but very confident that we come down into these targets, right? So that's what we're watching out for here. If we look at the XLM while we're on this chart, you can see these are the weekly moving averages, and now we're below the 50-day moving average in the weekly. We're down to 24 cents. We have this 18-cent target, and you can see why that 18-cent target's down there, because we're in this symmetrical wedge that we've been in since 2017 when we blew out of our last symmetrical wedge. And you can see the pattern's repeating itself just on a longer scale, down on a bigger scale. Down here, we had descending upper resistance, uptrending lower support, and then the breakout. Descending upper resistance, uptrending underneath support. It's trading from left to right, symmetrical wedge, and then there could be a breakout here, but that breakout doesn't have to happen for a little bit longer until the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year. But that fits in why that 18 cents. Don't want to buy your car, your Cadillac. That's why this 18 cent fits in, and that's why this target's still here, because we think this has to come back down the same way as these last two pumps did. You can see after the culmination of the blow off top here from 2017 into early to mid 2018, you can see we traded from upper resistance in the wedge to lower support in the wedge. Then we traded back up to upper resistance in the wedge, right? And then we traded back down to lower support in the wedge. You see that? Down to lower support, up to upper resistance, down to lower support, up to upper resistance. And then we're going to have to make a decision to make a breakout. In a breakout, we could go as high as $10 to $15. I'm not calling for that. I think it's more like a $1.25 to like a $2.60 pump on the breakout, right? But that's still plausible, and the breakdown would be catastrophic. But you can see why we're calling for a great chance to accumulate, and a reason, just like the Bitcoin and XRP, that we said don't buy the top. There would be a better accumulation zone down here. Might not be as good as this accumulation zone from several years ago, but much better accumulation zone than here, and much better accumulation zone than any one of these other two tops, right? So that's what we're talking about there in the XLM. The XRP is the same thing. We're in this head and shoulders topping out reversal pattern that we believe, and XRP is the same thing. This chart goes back farther than this, but this one that starts from 2018, you can see when we had that massive pump when nobody really had the coin, and this even started before then. Then we had this long, drawn-out consolidation bear market, crippling, right? Several years. Then we had another pump. Then we had another long, drawn-out bear market consolidation, but it wasn't as long, and then we had the COVID pump. Now, you think we're just going to go into a next hyper pump, $3 up from here? I think we got to have another drawn out, but shorter consolidation, and then we have a big pump, right? And it'll be shorter, and it won't go down as far. But that's what I'm thinking is going on here. And we gave you that first mover advantage. If we go back into the daily time frame, way back here at about the $3.40 range in the circle, and we drawn out that we would have some lower support. And you can see right now we're still drastically for dear life on this neckline support, trying to hold it as support, an area that we were holding support back here in December, January, February, March, attempted in April to break down, but then got back on top of it and confirmed it still has major support. And then April, May, and now we're in June, and we're sitting back on top of it. This is going to come underneath it, and then it's going to get rejected. And when it does that, it's going to come quickly down to the $1.63, could trade back up, and I do believe we will come down to this $1.29 technical target, something that we were industry first mover advantage. Nobody else had this, and we've even laid out how you could potentially get down as low as the 69 to the 85 cent level, and that would be a golden accumulation zone, a super golden accumulation, maybe a last time you'd ever see that, if with no guarantee that it would come down there, right? Like the channel, subscribe, become members of Jabroni Killer. Peace and love. The Rock Side Bro. J.